Hey everybody, welcome to Passion for Purpose podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Darrell L. Jones, and I'm just so excited right now to have my brother, my fraternity brother, my friend, Edsel Robinson, to join us on Passion for Purpose, up close and personal. Edsel, just tell everybody a little something about yourself. Well, let me just ask this first. Were you born in Atlanta?
I was born in Atlanta, yes. I'm not a Grady baby, but I was born in Atlanta at Hughes Spalding Hospital. So I was born here in the A, yes.
They were owned by Grady, wasn't they?
Yeah, right across from Grady, yes.
So what it's like being raised in Atlanta?
Oh man, it was something else, man. I mean, you know, your parents were a part of the whole struggle, you know, with the Martin Luther King, the civil rights movement. So they would do that. They went through that. And of course, I was too young at that point to understand what was going on. But I do remember when he got assassinated, how my mom was just crying, man. She was crying. I didn't understand the impact. I was standing next to her. I remember saying, "Mama, what's wrong? Mama, what's wrong?" But as I got older, you know, I figured out about their relationship because my dad and those had a relationship with the King family and everything. So it was they were kind of close knit to a degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So tell us a little more about what was it like growing up? You grew up in Southwest Atlanta, right?
Yeah, went to Southwest High School and then later went to Morris Brown College.
Okay. And you know, it's interesting because I was at Morris Brown College where I met you, and I remember you being from Southwest, and I remember the very first time I came to band camp, and you out there on the drums, you in the drum line, y'all were there before anybody got there, y'all were there when everybody left, and you know, just interesting seeing how.
Well, that's why I had to get out the drum section so I could graduate.
You know, y'all put some time in on that drum line, and you know, and say for those who know you now, they see you as this highly acclaimed keyboardist and producer and videographer and all these other things.
Oh, but, I'm humbled.
Oh man, but you know, it's so interesting to me. I remember when you first started going on the piano in the band room at Morris Brown, and
right.
So you go over there and just start playing, and you would just start playing chords and mixing things.
I was trying to figure it out, man. I had two songs in my pocket. I had "Lean on Me" and "Easy Like Sunday Morning." But
not like that.
Yeah, it was crazy because that was the height of achievement, being on the Sticking Sensation drum line at Morris Brown. But you know, my senior year, I got out, and being a music major, you had to be in some form of music. So I transitioned from the band and got in the choir under Mr. Glenn Halls, and that was one of the best things I could have done because vocally and understanding dynamics and voices and stuff like that, man, he taught me so much. So I'm glad I made that transition from the band, because I've been in marching bands practically all my life, high school and through college. But that senior year, I got out, and I know the guys were looking at me. They were saying, "What is he doing?" You know, this drum thing. We were like a gang, so it was very masculine. And then here I am talking about, look, he's in there trying to play the piano. So everybody was laughing like, "What are you doing, man? What is this brother doing?" So. But the rest is history. That was one of the transitional and pivotal points in my career.
You know, I think about that because I can remember it like it was yesterday, seeing you going over to the piano, playing in between band practice and things like that. And I even remember when you joined the choir, and I was one of those like, "Man, how you leave the drum section and go and get in the choir? You know, what happened?"
That's what all the guys were saying. Well, I mean, I was a music major, and so you had to be involved in concert choir or marching band, concert band or something. So I chose the choir, and the thing about the choir, after they rehearsed, they were gone. You wasn't out there, you know, you wasn't out there all night like we were, and then too tired to do your homework and stuff. So it was a thing. It was a transitional point in my life, but I'm thankful for all of it, man. I'm thankful for the journey.
So how did you know you wanted to be a music major? When did you know that?
Well, I didn't quite know that I wanted to be a music major because I remember Mr. Sumner Smith, he was my high school band director. He went around the classroom. I may have been in the 11th grade then, and he was asking everybody what they wanted to be. And at that point, man, frankly, I didn't know, but I heard people saying they wanted to be a doctor, an engineer, whatever. So the person 3 seats down from me said they wanted to be an engineer. So I said, okay, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the band director told me, he said, Robinson, you have some type of innate talent for music. You need to consider being a music major. And I mean, he kind of planted that seed in me. And I said, well, darn, because I was over the drum section in high school and kind of popular doing that. And here I am saying I want to be an engineer, not even really knowing, hadn't even really thought about what I wanted to do and being or do in college. So I don't know, man. I mean, he brought it to my attention, and then I started doing. The tricky thing about that is when you playing drums, you're not dealing with staffs, and when you major in music, you should have some working knowledge about the staff. The treble clef and the bass clef, and we read music with the drums, but we read rhythms. We didn't read chords and stuff. So that was hard. It was hard for me, man. It was hard for me that first year because anybody that plays a horn, you're looking at the staffs all the time and you're looking at notes. So when you major in music, those are basic things that you need to know. So my first year, it was rather daunting, let me tell you. I remember Mr. Gilliam told me, I answered some question wrong. It scared me to death. He said, Robinson, there's plenty of Burger Kings and McDonald's just waiting on musicians like you. Hey, man, that scared me to death. I said, wow. I got to get my act together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had opportunity to meet high school band director, Mr. Smith. I met him at one of my book signings, and we just hit it off, just started talking, and found out that he was the band director from Southwest and Mays. And
amazing, a great guy, man, a great guy.
I said I knew 2 guys that came out of that band, and I mentioned your name. I said I know Edsel Robinson and I know Shep Eppinger. And he's like, those are 2 of my prize students. And man, he just lit up and talked to me in the rest of the time and bought 2 of my books and everything. He was just so excited to hear your name and Shep's name. And I said, okay, that was telling for me because he was telling the side of you all that I didn't know. He was talking about what you all were like in high school. And I said, so what were they really like in high school? He said, they were some great musicians. He said, I knew they both were going to be very successful. I said, wow, I wonder was there any teachers like that who were able to say that about other people that they had and able to just sit back with satisfaction knowing that I had something to do about inspiring them, because teachers don't get all the credit that they deserve. And I remember you talking about that you even started teaching right out of Morris Brown for a while. What was it, Greater High School?
Yeah, well, you substitute teach as a music major or any major you're in. If you're planning on going to education, you go through the Atlanta public school system, you put your name in, register, and you're on this list for being a substitute teacher. So subsequently, you're around the city teaching at various schools. And then if you pass the teacher's exam, then that'll preempt you to be a school teacher somewhere. So when Alfred Campbell died, it's crazy. When Alfred Campbell died, he was a choral director. I knew I didn't want to be a band director, man. It's just too much work, man. It's just, you have to love that, man. It's like, I think I had lost the love for, just being out there on the field in so many hours. But the choral director, man, they can do their classes and then they can leave in the middle of the day and possibly go teach at another school. But it just seemed like it worked for my schedule and the things that I wanted to do. But Mr. Smith, man, I give all praises and some gratitude and kudos to that man there, because even with the limited resources we had, he sold into us, man, and we're able to see something in Shep and myself, because we were leaders. Shep was a leader. He wound up being a drum major, and I was always I went from trombone to playing drums,
What?
and wound up being the drum section leader.
I never knew you played trombone.
Yeah, I still have a trombone, man. I play it every now and then. But yeah, I mean, even back at Morris Brown, if you remember, I used to play second chair trombone in the concert band every now and then. Then I played drums and timpanis. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I remember when I first came to Morris Brown, and my intention was to be a music major.
Mm-hmm.
I met Mr. Gilliam.
Yeah, man. Mr. Gilliam was something else, bro.
I met him, and he was talking about you had to learn music theory, the composition, organization. I
had no idea what that stuff was, man.
I said, music is a hobby. I realized then music was a hobby for me, and it wasn't something that I wanted as a career path. And that's how I ended up majoring in business. So it was so interesting meeting Mr. Gilliam, how he said, I don't know if music is for you. And I agree with the music wasn't for me. I loved the band, but I didn't think I learned all those courses, especially knowing I never had them. So it was just interesting how he helped shape me out of the music department.
Right. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about music, period, or the arts. It's such a wide area. I mean, you have people, we have frat brothers that were band directors and doing a great job at that. And that was their plight. And I know I started in that direction, but I know in my heart I wanted to do some other things.
Yeah. So let's talk, you just brought up the frat. Let's talk about the frat. Some Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, Kappa Beta Chapter.
Right.
It was interesting because it was you all that motivated me to want to decide to join when the Harmonic Five.
Mm-hmm.
Roy, you, Andre,
Landon Lee, and Leo Combs.
Leo Combs, yeah. So it was you all line that just really made it exciting for those who came behind to want to be a part of the fraternity and everything. And it was interesting. You probably have no idea, but you were the one who motivated me to stick through it, because I said, okay, he's short, he's number 2, I'm short, I'm number 2, and okay, he showed me the way, so I'm gonna make this thing do too.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I was thinking about Kappa at one time, but I saw that it was quite a few musicians in Phi Mu Alpha, and I just connected with the music department, man. That was just one of the things I connected to, and I kind of got somewhat duressed into pledging, and but it's cool, man. It's a lot of fine guys. When it came to fraternity, you're right. It was so many musicians in there that were just so talented, and even though I wasn't a music major, I was so much into music. I felt like a music major, even though I didn't take the courses and things like that. But it was you all and a lot of the guys that was in the fraternity that made me want to be a part of that, so I could still feel that musical connection. And other fraternities I considered pledging, but during that time, a lot of people were underground, on probation and suspension. Yeah, for some old crazy stuff. And I said, by the time they started coming back around, I was trying to graduate. I'm like, okay, I graduate now. I had to catch them on the graduate level if I decided to do that. And it was just so interesting about that whole process. But those were some great times, and it led us into our adulthood. When we think about a lot of the people that came through our band, our school, and our fraternity, I'm amazed how many people are serving in ministry now, either in the preaching ministry or worship directors. That's true. That's true. Music and things like that. Who would have thought back then a lot of us would have been going that route? I'm amazed how many of us are serving in ministries that came through the school and fraternity, and it's a great thing to see that. And I wonder how many times you've been asked the question, why you not preaching since your dad was a preacher? Well, that's the prime example of not do. I mean, just because your dad was a minister, and my ministry was music, you know what I'm saying? But my dad did have talks with me before about that. He did have talks with me about ministry. But I'm just one to believe you have to be serious about that, and you have to actually love it. You have to love people, and you have to preach in season and out of season, man. You know, so it's one of those things that has to be a true calling to do that. You know,
I tell you, I'm so glad I have the opportunity to have that I could say that I know your mom and your dad, and I even remember your sister. That was one that came out of your house, and boy, we worked real hard out at your house that day. It was Saturday. I never forget it. It was, say, what was it, Brownlee? Was it Brownlee, y'all said?
Yeah, it was off of, the corner of Raven and Brownlee.
Raven and Brownlee. Now, every time I pass that corner, even now, I remember the work that we put into the basement when we was cleaning out the house. Man, but your mom was so sweet to us, and your dad was nice, man, and just always had good words of wisdom. And even now, you know, I remember one Sunday, your mom showed up at our church one Sunday morning for worship with a group of women. I think it was the women in ministry, and they showed up and everything, and man, just loved on us. And I still appreciate her to this day.
Oh yeah, man, she's a beaut, man. I love her to death, man. She's hanging on in there. And I told her that we'll be doing this morning. She told me to make sure I let you know. She said hello.
Okay, man. Tell her I said hello. She's such a sweet lady, and I'm telling you, my wife got to know her and everything. Man, just a sweet lady. And
yes. So but man, you know, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was thinking about the drum section. I recently found out in the past 3 or 4 years that these guys are still playing the cadence that I came up with called Ed, and it blew me away. One of the guys in the drum section recently passed away, Harvey, and so it was a bunch of drummers out there, man. They were dressed nice and everything, and they actually played the cadence, and they were asking me questions of what I was thinking about when I came up with it. I had no idea people were still playing that stuff, man. I told them I thought it had died after I left. You know, they said no. They said,
you are a living legend, especially when it comes to those who came behind you at Morris Brown and drum sections all across Atlanta and probably all across HBCUs. Because
that is crazy. That is crazy.
There are people who talk about you that you probably have never met, never even would meet.
Look, the drummer at my church, when he said something about playing in the drum section, I said, I played in the drum section, and I mentioned the cadence Ed. He said, I've been playing at church with you all this long, and you the Ed? I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, I played in the drum section in college. He said, man, we played that in high school, in college. I was like, wow, man. I
can still hear it in that. In that mind beat to it.
Yeah, man, that is crazy. That is crazy.
You know, it's nothing like that type of environment where you make family out of people from all across the world because of a skill set, because of a passion and a love for what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It really is, man. It's a beautiful thing.
And like you are, so, you know, I tell you often, and most of us who talk about how you are rooted, you a man of faith, you're a family man, and it's just so refreshing to see somebody like you who have all the accolades that come with what you do, because you do a lot, and you probably see it as something that, oh, this is just something I do. But to a lot of us who watch you, man, it's an awesome experience. You've had opportunity to travel all across the land and play with different type people. Tell us some of the people that you played with and what was like to play with Famous the very first time and how you felt about it.
Well, you know, coming right out of college, barely knowing how to play keyboards, that was my first tour with the group Cashflow. Mm-hmm. And I remember being at Grady High School, the guys called me and they said, well, man, we about to do the record and we about to go on the road. And I was sitting in the teacher's lounge just kind of sad because I knew my parents wanted me to teach, just play for church. And, you know, you have a beautiful life. And I remember this heavyset this heavyset teacher coming in the teacher's lounge. He said, "What's wrong with you, son?" I was like, "Man, I have an opportunity now to go on tour, but I know my parents want me to stay here and do this job at Grady High School." And he was just looking at the expression on my face. He said, "Man, you do it while you're young, because you can always come back and teach and wait on a pension check like what I'm doing." And then when he sat down and I was like, looking, I was like, "Oh Lord, I don't want to be like that." I just, I mean, it's like just waiting on a pension check. It was just more, I'm a free spirit, man. It's just more to life than that. I'm not negating the importance of teaching and everything. I just feel that one must love that. My mother is a retired school teacher, so she put a lot of love and passion in it. And I think instead of being there just to make the check, you should love kids. You should love what you're doing and be able to do your all. Mm-hmm. And it's just wasn't many opportunities. I mean, even stuff to that you're able to major in college nowadays, the opportunities are vastly different from when we were in college, because you're either going to be a doctor, a preacher, a school teacher, or something, And but things changed, and okay, back to your question. It was Cashflow first. I did Peabo Bryson, Cameo, SOS Band, played with Midnight Star a little. There's some others, man, like some older groups like the Temptations, Floaters. Man, just a career of just playing with different people, man. And it was just all from learning how to play parts, because I didn't start off as this phenomenal keyboard player. I mean, when I first got in the band, these older guys just say, "Play this part and find the sound and play these certain parts," not knowing that that's what most of your big artists want you to do. They want you to play the record. They want you to find those parts and play them with efficiency. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kind of pride myself on, being a great part player. Okay. And that allowed me to play with Andre 3000, even at the Fashion Rocks. He's got voted #1 for the Fashion Rocks. That was a great experience up in that Radio City Music Hall. So it's allowed me to travel the world and meet different people. And just with my upbringing, it's all about still staying humble, because I see people that have a certain form of success and think they all of this and that, and just something crazy always happens, So I said, man, I'm just going to make sure I still continue to keep God up and first, and just stay humble.
Man, we had the opportunity, Tisa and I, to come out before the pandemic came. What was it, Casper 911, the name of the band?
Oh yeah, Casper the 911 band.
And the only reason we went, because I knew that was a group that you had some affiliation with, and I said, man, they're gonna be over there. I'm going to here. So we came out and everything, and it was just such a great experience, because even locally, it's like legend status travel all over the state, all over the country and everything. And to be able to say that there are people who we know doing great things like that, it's a great accomplishment that you have. And it's great for those who know people like you to be able to say, and this is a great person, somebody who has a foundation of trust and family and things like that. You just don't see that too often.
Yeah, I mean, it was people I looked up to like that too. Vance Taylor, man, we call him Maestro Vance Taylor. He did a lot of playing for Peabo Bryson back in the day. I remember when I was learning, he just let me come to his apartment and just look at him practice. And he just used to practice every day. I mean, just practicing. And so when I saw that, I said, wow, to get on his level, I have to have the discipline enough to practice, man, and practice. And it shows up. And I mean, you still learn. I mean, even at the age of 60, 61, whatever. I mean, you still pick up things with some of the younger musicians. So people they interpret things a certain way, and if it's a will to learn, man, I mean, you just still pick up things.
You mentioned Cashflow. I still have Cashflow album, and about a month ago, I actually played. I have a turntable, and
wow,
I'm not sure how it came up, but Cashflow conversation came up. I think I was talking to Mo, and we was talking about how we still got the album, we still listen to it, and we have all the what is. Man, that was one of the greatest groups that group could have blowed up and just been the greatest group in America. That's how talented that group was. And when I tell you, just the talent that you all had in that group, I still listen to that album and still enjoy it.
Man, it's crazy. It is crazy, man, because most of which the first band I got in, my mom said, "You are not about to be in no band. You're gonna graduate from high school." It was funny, man. They were on me about that. But I saw these guys called Southside Coalition, and they were down on Auburn Avenue in Wheat Street Baptist Church, in the back of Wheat Street Baptist Church. And they were practicing, and I just walked in there, man. I just wanted to be around it. And I walked in there, and I saw them practicing, and I came back again. They were like, "What's up, little buddy? What you trying to do? What's going on?" I said, I wouldn't mind playing in the band one day. And they were in the middle of transitioning. Some of the older guys, were moving on. And so I said, well, I'll go to Morris Brown. I know guys that can sing and play. So that's when I told them about Gaylord Parsons, which is our older frat brother, KB, Kerry Hubbard, phenomenal vocalist. And we would do shows around town and go out of town. And one day we were at this place called San Susan, and they said Larry Blackman was in there. So we did a lot of, Cameo, Rick James, and since Kerry had that golden voice, we did a lot of Peabo Bryson. So all the ballads were like, somebody that can really sing, Peabo Bryson. And so that night, I remember Larry Blackman coming up to our dressing room and saying that he was interested in signing us. And I was like, man, vision and seeing things in the future, man, is just so important. You have to say to yourself that you want to be a minister, and then you just went through the process, some type God and universe or whatever people want to call it. It just aligns things for you to do the things, and I live by that today, man. It's just, I always sit down and try to see myself doing it. Write the vision. Like the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. And if you can see it, man, you can achieve it. And it's like, I never saw myself being a school teacher, but I always saw myself playing. I used to dream about playing in front of thousands of people, man. And just think, coming out of college with the limited knowledge that I did know about keyboards, I wound up playing on a major tour. Yeah. And it's crazy, man. And speaking of Mr. Smith, he was playing at my dad's church. I would sit behind him and say, I want to do that one day. It's like, it's crazy. It's like speaking things into existence, man. And it's just seeing it, believing it, and some type of way. Some people call it the law of attraction. I just think it's energy, prayer, energy, all of that combined, man, helps you to be the person that you want to be. And nobody can say what your happiness is. Everybody has their own form of happiness. Our frat brothers that went to be school teachers and wound up being principals and then sitting on that pension check. Look, that's what they saw themselves doing. I mean, that's, hey, man, and it happened. So, I just had enough testicular fortitude to stretch it out with this music, man, and it was a lot of pain and difficulty, but things worked out.
That's what's so interesting to me. I've been taught that the thing that you are loving and willing to do for free, that's pretty much what you're supposed to be doing in life to be in your purpose. And I think about how you had a lot of different avenues you could have chosen, but you knew what you wanted. You knew it was music. And to be able to say, Mom, Dad, I know that this is a good life that you're all trying to steer me down, but this is what I'm feeling inside of me. This is what I see. This is what I see myself doing. You know, the fact that they're still able to encourage you in the midst of doing something that they thought might not work out, it tells a lot.
Right.
It tells a lot about the faith and trust that they had in God, that, you know, Lord, help my son, you know.
Hey, man, and look, in this industry, man, you're going to need help, man, because everybody's not going to achieve those goals. I mean, everybody's not going to write that hit song. So you have to figure out some type of way of navigating and making a living. I think when I got married and I was able to purchase my own home in Water's Edge out in Stone Mountain. I think that's when my dad really just, okay. Because I had friends say they used. Yeah, man, it's funny. I had friends that used to see my parents in the malls or something. My dad used to ask them, "Does he know what he's doing?" I said, "Well, what you say?" They said, "Your dad say, well, my son, I'm just concerned about him. Does he know what he's doing?" And they say, "Yeah, your son is on it. You know, he's on his way." And I just had to make sure if I'm going to do this, I have to pull out all the stops, man. I can't be mediocre at it. And you have to just start with what you're good at, you know. And I tell anybody that, you know, just finding your passion. What do you think you're good at, you know, and you start there, and then some type of way it morphs into being able to make money, because that's the aha moment. Yes, you would do it because you enjoy it for free, but as you get older and have girlfriends or fiancés or whatever, you know, they're looking for stability. And as a man, you know, that's why I didn't get married until I was like maybe in my mid-30s, you know, because, man, I was too busy running around the country. I wasn't ready, you know.
And, you know, so were you still were you balancing touring and in music ministry at churches also? All the time. They used to call me church boy, and because when people travel, they have no need to rush back on Sundays, but I will always take the what they call it, the red eye early in the morning, and try to make it back to church, man, because I always love playing for church. And both experiences, you know, you're on the winning team at church. You know, it's a different feeling now. When, you know, let me say, secular music is more self-gratifying, and gospel music, you're pointing people towards the Creator, and it's just a whole different feeling. Gospel music, you're leading people into worship and pointing them towards the Creator. So they are both great feelings, but of course, secular music is more look at me and being more self-indulgent, that type of thing. But, you know, man, just playing for church and playing for God, man, it's just nothing like it. And I still do it today, some type of way with my schedule, man. I still take time out to play in church and be around the atmosphere of worship and God. Do you remember a conversation we had once? I said, one day I'm going to be able to afford you as a musician playing for my church. And it was so funny because I was sharing often. I said, I know a lot of talented musicians, but I can't afford them right now because my church is still young and everything. And y'all was out making more money playing for churches than probably my church's whole budget was at the time and everything. And then one day you said, you said, I don't want to be locked down as a musician, as a church. And you said, I want to just go in and play for them and go out and do things like that. And I said, I admire that, because there are some people who would try to double dip it, but you knew that you had so much going on that you would still give to the church, but you didn't want to be committed to being the minister of music full time and they expecting you to be there at their beck and call.
Yeah, I did there, man. And it was a great experience. And then it was a rather daunting and horrible experience for me also. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's like, it's almost like, when you're a minister of music, like I was a minister of music of one of the big AME churches, and man, they wanted those 40 hours. It was corporate,
Yeah.
it was corporate. And when you're a free spirited person, being locked into a corporate environment is somewhat caging and daunting. So, and when I tried, I remember the first time I got that minister of music thing, and they called me to do Andre 3000. and I was sitting over there, the guys in the band was like, they said, "What's wrong with you, man?" I said, "Wow, man, I just got here, and then I need to go practice with Andre to do Radio City Music Hall, and I don't know what to do." And everybody in the music ministry band was like, "Dude, if it were one of us, I'd be like, see you." And and it was like, it was a struggle. I mean, it was a struggle. And some type of way I talked to Reverend Marcus, and he gave me that time to go on and experience that, because I was on the road with Cameo when I took that minister music, and I told them I was going to quit to be at this church. And everybody was looking at me like, "What? You about to do what? you about to quit what you doing now to go play for a church?" And I say yes. And so I'm kind of being in and out. You know what I'm saying? Some people call it straggling the fence or whatever. I just call it, you just in different places in life. And then, it just kind of happened like that. But that's been a struggle with me since a kid. Reverend Robinson's son, you out here, you playing the devil's music and all this kind of stuff. I looked at it as making a living, because you had deacons in the church that worked at a brewing company, or, why when it comes down to music, it's this big thing about what you're doing. And just think of whatever job a person could be on. I mean, I'm sure everybody's not up in there praying all the time. And, so it's just one of those things about making a living. And I always wanted to prove to my parents that I can make money and make a living in the arts. But I had to be for real about it, though. I mean, it's like,
that's one of the issues I do have with the church, though, how they try to make people feel bad off of things that they're doing in their profession that the church probably want for free and, of little cost. And I said, these people, when God make you a light, God sends you in different places sometimes that you don't even know that's why you're there. You think you're there because you're talented, but God might have one person there for you to meet, and y'all life change just because you've been in that environment, no matter what it is. And like you said about deacons working at breweries, having liquor stores, but paying a lot of churches and stuff, we say that's people doing stuff like that.
Right.
We can't do that. But I think I really like the fact that you have that balance. You have a strong enough foundation where you can go places and people still see that you're grounded. And that's something that people who are in the music industry need to see to help them become grounded, because a lot of them need people like you around them.
Well, I mean, when you think about the stories now, see, that's the hard thing. We think about the biblical stories of Lucifer and everything. It's not, I tell people it's more than being anointed, because you could be anointed to speak, anointed to preach and everything, and don't love people. So it's the same thing about Lucifer. He was the anointed cherub in the Bible, and he had this look and everything, but all the eyesight, he wanted everybody's eyesight to be towards him and not God. And so that's why I started off by saying you still have to have a certain form of humility when you're in this entertainment business, because it's almost like, even though it's self-indulgent and you want people to look at me play, look, I did this solo, and people like tripping off of you, but you still have to have that time of that humility and understand that it's not you. And I think a lot of people in the industry, they just get caught up, man. And I just, I've been around people like that, but it's just something about the church just kind of keeps you grounded. And if you study at all, If you study biblical history and just history, period, man, and you'll see how you're supposed to kind of govern yourself. I mean, because you could talk about the stories. I mean, the lady at the well, I mean, they questioned Jesus on a whole bunch of stuff he was doing. Why you want to deal with somebody on the Sabbath day? I mean, he changed a lot of things. He went to the woman on the well, and they say, why do you want to go this? We don't never travel that way, and but and she had faults. She had all these husbands and stuff. So he placed himself in areas, but if you can be a light and stuff, and if you can be a light and just try to act in humility, and because everybody in secular music are not bad people, they're not. I mean, shoot, I've been in church for all my life, and it's like that's one of the worst grace and mercy places it is for an individual. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
About some of the people who wondered, how could I work for a Department of Revenue and be a preacher? Like, you working for the Department of Revenue, closing people's businesses and putting liens on properties and stuff like that, and you're a preacher, And I said, well, Matthew was a tax collector. So, I pointed to Matthew, the gospel that you read a lot of time on Sundays. He was a tax collector and everything. So don't be too hard on the Department of Revenue. But people just think because you're in a certain profession that and you're a Christian, that's a contradictory. No, you're there. God allowed you to be there for a reason. We just have to spend enough time there and realize that reason will come. And then when it do come, you find out, okay, now what? But it's just so interesting how people think about what other people do as opposed to what they're doing. But I do want to talk about your wonderful and encouraging and lovely and beautiful Rib, your wife, Robin. We love her. Tisa and I, we talk about you all often, and Tisa tells stories about how Robin was an upperclassman when they were in high school together, and how how Robin was, and how she's like, man, she's an upperclassman. She was kind of scared of her because back then, when you're a freshman, and you got to look at the upperclassmen like they are grown-ups.
Yeah, man, she's been a joy, man. I didn't realize how much help I needed until I got help. You know what I mean? Because I was doing everything myself. I mean, all the paperwork and managing bands and shooting videos and stuff. And when she came along, she said, "You doing all of this stuff?" I was like, "Yeah." And so we kind of sew into each other. We're both entrepreneurs. She has her business, and we just sew into each other, man. And she's been a jewel, man. When they say when a man findeth a wife, he's findeth a good thing. I found a good thing, man. And but I just have to say that, man. She's been there for me, man, and we've been there for each other. And she understands what I do, and I say, you in the industry now. I start teaching her about how I manage and how I navigate, man. I call it a hostile takeover. All the agents and everybody, they call her, and when they can't get through her, they call me, because if she starts being stubborn on certain things, they call me. It was like, well, Robin just won't. I was like, you have to, I turned it over to her, because that's allowed me to do the other things I want to do in this side of with the filming and trying to come up with TV show ideas and all that type of stuff.
So let's talk about that before we get ready to get out here. Some of the stuff. What projects you got going now? You're working on videos now and producing and directing? Yeah.
I have a production company called Brew Entertainment with Bruce, the comedian, and this guy, Wiley Morris. He's a well-known producer, music producer. I mean, he did Charlie Wilson, just did a host of others as far as producing. And so we've kind of gotten together, and we just come up with ideas and shoot them, put our resources together, make it work, and try to shop. I shoot different bands, corporate bands, commercials and stuff. It's just something that it was like a paradigm shift. Just like I transitioned from the drums to the piano. It's like I know that feeling when it happens in my body, when it's time for me to let something go and shift to another area in life, Yeah.
But so, I think about that and I said, that's a metaphor for a lot of us to understand that your body and your heart and mind will tell you when it's time to go into another level of your journey and your purpose. And
right.
So before we get ready to get out here, there are a couple of questions I asked.
Okay.
And one is, who's the greatest superhero, Superman or Batman?
Who's the greatest superhero, Superman or Batman? I would say Superman.
All right, I agree with you. Tisa and I, we have that conversation that she always go with Batman because she said Superman is an alien. I said, but Superman was the greatest hero.
Yeah, he was the greatest hero because it was one of him. Batman had to have Robin.
That's right. Thank you. So,
right, he had help.
If you had to encourage somebody who wanted to get into the music industry, what would you say to them?
Well, you have to exercise patience and understand that music is not only an industry, it's a business also. So learn as much as you can. These days it's an information age. Back in the day, we had encyclopedias maybe, and you had to afford encyclopedias. So it wasn't a lot of things that we could research like kids can do now. Everything is in the palm of your hand. Anything you need to learn about anything, whether it's mixing or doing whatever, you should learn as much as you can about it. Look at the greats, listen to the greats, listen to their stories so you won't make some of the same mistakes, and throw away the bones and keep the meat. And it's the music industry has changed. It has changed a lot. They're not throwing around as much money as they used to for producers based on technology. Your music is being given away and stolen. So, it's different now. So you have to just figure out a way of navigating. But look at all forms of the industry. One of the major groups actually just asked me about being a role manager for them. And then an agency up in Virginia just sent me a email about possibly being their roster of artists and stuff. And these are things that come to you based on people watching you and watching what you do. And so, somebody's always watching, and just try to figure out a way to, make money with it. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. So, are you actively involved in social media?
Yeah. Facebook, I do Facebook, and I basically upload stuff. So people, when they ask me, do I do certain things on my Facebook, you'll probably see me either playing, producing, or shooting something in those environments. But as far as just searching and looking for a bunch of stuff, I don't do that as much. I'm kind of scared to do the Instagram thing because I'm getting a lot of calls now without that, and I don't want to run myself to death. So the word of mouth thing's been working for me, and I'm able to still have a life. I'm not as young as I used to. I used to try to run everywhere and do everything in one day, but just acting a little wiser now as far as how my work schedule is.
Okay. I really appreciate your time. I value our friendship and our brotherhood, and I just
yes, sir.
Much for this. And I just hope the Passion for Purpose podcast, when they get ready to show this, people really get to see a living legend, somebody I can actually say I know personally.
Wow.
And a brother. And I thank God for you, and I appreciate everything that you are doing for the kingdom and for your family. Man.
I appreciate you too, man. I'm humbled just by you asking. So, man. I mean, this is a good thing. So keep up the good work yourself, you and your wife.
All right. Thanks a lot, bro. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace.
I want to thank everybody for joining the Passion for Purpose podcast. Up close and personal. Today's guest was my friend, my brother, my fraternity brother, Edsel Robinson. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope and pray that We all have a great day and be better on purpose.